to you, they still be besties. The problem is when it
Yeah.
Sure.
backfires and they get exposed. And I was talking to Manuela and I was saying that in Hollywood, loyalty is appreciated, but the reputation is everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Reputation is everything. And that's the thing about when people do things that you don't agree with, you can't just act like, okay, I'm not going to pay attention. Just do you, we're still friends. No, you need to call your friends out when they do
Yeah.
things that you don't agree with, or when they're not being right by other people. You need to call it out, because eventually it will become your problem. Eventually
Hmm.
you'll be the one caught up in the snare of the lie and the backhandedness of this friend that you're trying to protect. And I think that's part of the issue with Meghan. All these people that see these things that Meghan is doing and ignore it, or don't call her out, or keep at arm's length from her. No, you need to call that out. You have a responsibility to call out people that are doing wrong by, her husband's family, by her own family. Because what happens is they continue to do it, and it doesn't go away. And hey, look, Taylor, I'm sure she saw
Doesn't
these
go away.
things happening with Blake. I'm sure she did, but she ignored it. She didn't want to make it an issue. But now look what we got. Look what has
Yeah, but
happened now.
Blake was
She
going
wasn't
around giving
exposed. Now she's
interviews.
exposed.
Yeah, but Blake was going around giving interviews saying that Taylor was very heavily involved, and we have other actresses
Well, she
saying the
should have
same
called that
thing.
out in the beginning when she first started. Hold on, I'm watching someone. Peyton, please, dear, you have to turn that down. Okay,
Is
she
that your
should have
niece?
said something. Friend's a child. I'm babysitting. Um, she should have called it out in the beginning. Like, I'm sure there was plenty of opportunity to say something and nothing was never said.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
the thing is, what if it's true? Because also Justin Baldoni talked about Taylor was involved. He gave one interview and he said that
Hmm.
Taylor was involved in
And
the
she was
hiring of
doing
the
bad
actors.
things too. Now she was like,
No, he said that he gave an interview and said that it was wonderful that Taylor was also involved in the hiring of the
mm,
actresses and stuff like that.
mm,
So
okay,
I mean,
well,
she
Yes, the
can't
hiring
deny
of the actress, the
yes,
song, really
hiring
getting
the
involved in
music
some of the
producer.
okay, well,
rewrite or
she's just as bad
something.
as
Yeah, yeah,
Blake then,
yeah.
right? I don't know much about Taylor Swift, but obviously she's just as bad then as Blake,
Well,
right?
the messages were made public, and it turns out that that this really horrible, what you might call it, uh, PR person. She
Mm-hmm.
basically took the phone away. But the thing in California is that she didn't make her sign. Apparently, you have to make them sign something that says that if they put their phone, their work number inside their phone, then
Mm-hmm.
the company can also access their cloud, their personal other phone. So she didn't sign that.
Oh,
So basically, she didn't have a right to be accessing her photos or her messages, which she was, because Blake was so stupid that she took a screenshot from the cloud
okay.
and it was made public. So that is absolutely illegal in California, because and it was in real time because she didn't have the phone. So when she didn't have the phone, people were sending her stuff and they were taking screenshots of that from the cloud. Well,
Oh,
she didn't have
wow.
the phone because she was fighting to get her phone back.
Mm. Okay.
So that's pretty
It's
terrible. They're all cut, and the thing
yeah.
is though that now that Taylor is going, oh, we were just, I just gave permission for a song. That's a lie. That is a lie because we know she was more involved than she lets it on. And now that things
Hmm.
have blown up their faces, I just
Mm-hmm.
wonder whether they reached a deal, whether they
Mm-hmm.
reached a deal, guys, because they are, what you might call it, they're saying that she gave everything willingly, all the
Mm.
messages
I think, yeah,
in
that
Oh,
might be a
wow.
exchange.
strategy. They probably see that Justin is in the right. He's going to win. And so that if she's volunteering and going onto his side, it's going to be less savage for her because if she goes on the other side, they'll rip her apart. The Baldoni team will rip them apart because they have probably
Mm.
all the documentation. They're going to be
Yeah.
able to fight everything. So right one to be on Justin's side because that's Blake is the weak the weak side right now. And so this is going to protect Taylor so much more than if she was on the other side.
She needs to just come out and
But it goes to show you
apologize.
never get away with
Yes, she
anything.
can't. She can't. She can't apologize. She can't.
What do you mean
I
she
mean,
can't
she has to pay
apologize?
up. She has to pay up. Pat, this is what I said in my video
Mm.
yesterday, the day before yesterday. If I were her, I would say, you know what? First of all, it is true. She was breastfeeding. Women are hormonal when you are when you have just given birth. If I were her, I would have said, you know what? I misinterpreted everything. I was going through a very low period. I deeply apologize to Justin Baldoni and his
Yeah.
reputation. I apologize to my husband. I apologize to Taylor for everything. But I was really, really emotional, and I was just taking everything because you know what? You are emotional. You might, even if it's BS, but people will want to believe that. You know what I mean? People will want
Mhm.
Hmm.
to believe that rather than this because this woman, I mean, the levels of selfishness that she doesn't care, and I stand by what I said from the beginning.
Mhm.
People are saying that is Ryan Reynolds is. I said, why was Ryan so angry? He cut him off completely on May 17th when he came back from when the strike started, and he came home and he found out. I said, remember I told you, Pat, that to me this is like a man who sounds like he found something about the wife.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
and he didn't like it because let's not forget that Blake Lively's a cheater. Ryan is a cheater. In fact, they both met. They both cheated on their
Right.
partners when
They're
they met.
cheaters. Yeah, they
So
are. Mhm.
Right.
there's no trust there. So all she has to say is, "I apologize to my husband." I can guarantee you that after this, they get divorced. There's no way Ryan Reynolds because Ryan Reynolds is a narcissist.
Mhm. You think the marriage between Blake and Brian is going to end?
Yeah. If Ryan wants to save his career, yes.
Yeah, he has to distance himself. Yeah, I mean that's just how things are in Hollywood. I think, look, you just have to kind of come clean with things
Hmm.
that you may have done, and we all can have redemption, but you got to come in truth. You can't come in lies and cover up and all this, But it's
They're
it's
Yeah,
it's
doubling
I
down.
always,
crazy.
is it Jordan Peterson? I don't remember who said this, but he was like, he said, you never get away with anything ever.
Ay,
And that's
Manuela,
why
give
you
me an
need to
interview
be
with Jordan
truthful.
Peterson. Go harass him. Go harass him. I know you live close by. Go
He's not here
harass him.
right now.
Okay.
Mhm.
But
But when
it's
he
like,
gets there,
it's
when
like
he
you don't get away. You can see they're falling apart. They're lies. And because of the deception and because they didn't come from truth, and they don't
Yep.
even have the humility to back up and say, I did, okay, that wasn't right. This is, I apologize. This is how it should be. They're not even trying to clean it and square it off. So they're going to end up in more of a mess as they continue, and they're going to take people with them
Yep.
that go along with it. You
Yep.
never get
That's
away with
exactly
things. We
right.
try to teach our children always to come from, like, don't lie, be honest, be authentic, like, and really be authentic, not say you're authentic,
Right.
but do it.
Yeah. Yep.
and you know what bothers me? No accountability. It's always deflection and placing blame on somebody else. If
Mhm.
Taylor were to come up
Absolutely.
and say, if I were Taylor, what I would do if I were her team, I would
Mhm.
say something like, I believe this woman. I thought she really
Yeah.
was harassed. And because remember what I told you, Pat, if Maria Inez, my best mate, came, or even you, Pat, came and
Yeah.
said, this happened to me, Paula, and this YouTuber said this about me, I'm going to go full scorch earth on these people, right?
Yeah.
Like, can you
Sure.
imagine like Maria Inez coming to me, like if she were, well, she can't breastfeed anymore. She's 53, but let's say that she was breastfeeding and she says that her boss is a perv, and like I'm not even gonna ask her questions. I'm gonna grab a baseball bat and I'm gonna go play baseball, with that guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
No
Yeah.
questions asked. So
Mhm.
Taylor Swift has a gracious way of getting out of this, saying, "You know what? I did believe her. I did do things because I did believe
You
my friend
believe
of 20 years."
exactly. Yeah.
I would blame it all on Blake Lively.
Yeah, that was my whole point. Yeah, when I first started, like she trust me, saw things, and maybe she was just as bad as Blake, or she's like thinking, wait a minute, Blake has gone too far. At some point, you just have to call out the friend, the ex friend, whatever, and like what you're saying, Paula, and that is the right way to do it, absolutely. But trying to
I've
keep the
always
cover
said
up and all that, Mm-mm.
I've always said it that to me, Blake lied to everybody. To me, and that's Stephanie Jones. She did it in conjunction with Blake. So Blake tried to, I'm sure Ryan caught her flirting and, like, and all
Yep.
kinds of things. Blake, no teeth. I can do things with, don't worry, it's not going to hurt because I'm not going to use my teeth. I mean, how are you going to use your teeth in that? There's only
Mhm.
one time you don't use your teeth, ladies, and we all know what that is. We're all
Gotta have
guilty
my
of it.
headphones on.
Oh, no.
But this article, let's go into this. This is
Oh,
interesting
yeah,
about
yeah.
this. So
Yes, yes.
so
Oh, but
apparently there's a
yeah, yeah. Go on.
deal, a Netflix deal. Ow, something bit me. I think there's a Netflix deal, another third year or what. So let's get to the deal. Let's get to the real deal, the real nitty gritty of
Yeah,
this
let's get that.
information.
Absolute BS. And listen, please, and I don't know why people don't read how it's phrased. We all know that
Hmm.
Megan doesn't have a second season. They filmed 16 episodes, right?
But they
And
framed
what
it like
happened
it
is,
was a second season that was a
no,
approved or
what
whatever.
happened, and I'm going to tell you the inside story. And Pat, that I have impeccable sources.
Oh yeah.
The
Mhm.
inside story is that when they published the trailer, they never thought they would get so much backlash. They
Mhm.
left the comments on. There's a mosquito that's driving me crazy. They left the comments on because they wanted. That's a way for them to gauge the interest and the positivity. And
Yeah.
also, Megan didn't want the comments on, but Netflix left them on deliberately because they didn't renew the contract.
It's data, it's information, like you said, to help them
Exactly.
gauge. They needed to leave the comments on. That's valuable information about what the public is thinking and the
Mhm.
likelihood of working with her further or what they need to do if they're going to continue working with her. Like it's very valuable information.
Now, let's not forget that the person that they want is the royal. This is an
Mhm.
article that Megan fed to the Daily Mail, just like she fed to Katie Hind. Remember that story that she hosted an intimate dinner with Beckham's with
Mhm.
Beckham?
Mhm.
And then the next day it was, oh well, no, we didn't host the dinner. It was and Katie Hind said it wasn't an inside source. Remember, I called it. I said that BS. You called it.
Mhm.
And then the next day, the story changed. The story changed to, oh, well, no, Meghan and Harry had a VIP dinner and Nicola and Brooklyn crashed. I don't see Nicola.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then the third day, what was it? No, it was Tracy Robbins, which is what I said from the first day. But then it turns out that Tracy Robbins never had a dinner. This was just a way for Meghan Markle to save face because apparently she received a legal letter the first day when she didn't backtrack it because she kind of sort of tried to, like, that's why you got that second story. She still didn't want to backtrack it.
Mhm.
But when the Beckhams, because I don't know if you know this, guys, but David Beckham is executive producer of a very, very like docu series for Victoria because the David Beckham docu series was so successful. So
Mhm.
Netflix knows that they draw a lot of money for them.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So when Megan didn't listen, they wrote to Netflix. That's what I've been told, and this is why on the third day you have a completely different story that apparently Harry and Meghan were flown 1.5 kilometers from their Montecito mansion to the in an airplane to the 1.5 kilometers down the road to the Robbins thing, which is absolute BS. Okay,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
people have to read what it says. The 100 million Netflix deal, we know that they never got it. That was the potential, what they
What's the
could.
Hmm.
potential? What they could make, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
listen, Pat, do you want to read it?
Okay. How Harry is about to be cut out of Megan's Netflix deal by man who calls her the rock star. Insiders reveal face-saving deal to Alison Bolshoff and the truth about limp ratings. Okay. So, what another appalling week for Prince Harry, although he announced he was dedicating himself to a life of service after Brexit, he does not make time uh, um, he does not make Times Magazine's list of 100 most influential philanthropists published this week. Now, worse still, his brother, we know William, Prince William, who was described in Harry's spare book as his arch nemesis, is on the list along with wife Kate, Catherine. Now, that lack of recognition is no surprise. So, as this year, Prince Harry stepped aside from the charity he founded, sent to Bali, amid a fallout with his chair of the board, which someone else has also left the board most recently. It's come out. So there's also been the saga of the charity African Parks, of which he was president for 6 years until being elevated to the governing board of directors in 2023, which has admitted to human rights abuses. Now, both setbacks come hard on the heels of Harry's loss in the Court of Appeals over his right to automatic taxpayer funded security, something we called a good old fashioned establishment stitch up
No,
in a
something which he called
which he
a good
called a good old fashioned, thank you, established stitch up in a memorable tell all BBC interview earlier this month. So the interview definitely got everyone talking, but probably not in the way that Harry had intended. And he has come across as bitter and entitled. That's right.
Now this is the part that we this is the part. Okay, I'll
Okay.
read it.
Okay.
But while 2025 is shaping up to be yet another annus horribilis for Harry, for why Meghan all seems to be sunshine and roses. We all know that's BS.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is Meghan,
Yep.
guys. For us, I can exclusively reveal that Meghan told us. Meghan wrote this stupid article. Despite ratings which insiders concede were limp and disappointing, it is almost certain
Mm-hmm.
that her Netflix lifestyle TV show with Love Meghan will be recommissioned for a third series to be shown next year. A second is already in the can, and that the deal with the streamer, which had appeared dead in the water, will be renewed in September. It
Okay.
expires in March. One well placed source, Megan, tells me what people do not understand about the situation is that Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos is a massive, massive fan of Megan personally. He calls her the rock star. Bullshit. There is no way that her deal does not get renewed. This is Megan.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Megan.
does it say there, by the way, and because usually it's Netflix who announces deals with its stars. They say, "Oh, we're happy to announce when they signed up Viola Davis or the Obamas
Mm-hmm. So
when they
you have
signed
to, right, you have to think about, why would Netflix be behind something that is not for certain? This article
up."
is saying, right? It's
No,
almost
that is disappointing that they're
yeah.
losing money, that the things were limp, and then they go. The one placed source tells me that's Megan.
Mm-hmm.
So from what I understand, Ted is not in the business of losing money. Netflix is not in the business of losing money. The source ad, Ted is in the Megan business, and that is not about to change. He's all in.
Well, Megan business is not going to get you anywhere. So why would he even say that? Why would he even be in the mindset
But
that it's
that's the
all
him
about
who's saying
Megan?
it. Is the source, Pat.
Exactly. That's my
The-
whole point. He would not say that because he's not in the business of trying to make Megan elevated and losing money at the same time. They don't go together. It doesn't make sense that he would say something like that. I don't believe he would say something like that if he's losing money.
No. So while the deal will be re-upped, my sources says is on the basis of Megan's on-screen presence and of her ideas in the lifestyle arena, and not on account of any ideas Harry has had. The initial Netflix deal was with both Meghan and Harry and reportedly worth 78 million over a 5-year period, which
Mm,
lapsed in March this year, and
mhm.
they did not make 78 million. That is absolute BS. They signed up depending, Netflix didn't give them, and this is the thing that is very shoddy journalism. Netflix did not hand over $78 million, $700 million to Harry and Meghan, not even to Viola Davis. And I mean, and they went aggressively after Viola Davis, who's an incredibly talented actress. And what was the name of the? Is she? Which one is the one that wrote Grey's Anatomy's guys?
Shonda Rhimes.
Shonda Rhimes. Why am I saying Viola Davis? It's Shonda Rhimes. They signed her. I mean, they went aggressively after her, and they bought the Grey's Anatomy thing and everything for 60 million, and they signed her to exclusively write a series for them. but this is
Mhm.
Shonda Rhimes with a
Yeah.
proven track record of being kick-ass.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So Meghan
Mhm.
Markle has that, Lady Letitia, hello, hello, hi. Uh, so
Hi.
so it's very stupid. So let's keep reading because every time you hear the source, that is Meghan.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, so while the deal will be re-upped, my source says it's on the basis of Meghan Buena and not an account on any ideas Harry's had. The initial Netflix deal was with both Harry and Meghan. Well, we read that. The couple promised to create content that informs but also gives hope. Their 2022 tell-all documentary, Harry and Meghan, was a runaway success, racking up 90.7 million hours of viewing in its first week, but they don't say where, and it's worldwide. And after that, it declined. In the United States, there's a website. I did a video about it.
Mhm.
That it tells you how many households watch a show. It's a
Mhm.
it used to be like the thing from TV from the old days, but they're still very famous. If guys, you know the name of it, because I did a video about it. It was like the metric, that they used to see how many household watch and
Yeah, you're
stuff like
talking
that.
about the Nielsen ratings?
Mm-hmm.
The Wilson ratings, yes.
Nielsen.
Nielsen.
So
Nielsen.
Nielsen.
Nielsen ratings, yeah. Okay,
Nielsen ratings.
that's it. So in Megan and the states, there were over a little bit over 320,000 households watch Harry and Meghan, and mostly in California. It
Mhm.
was a success in the United Kingdom, but it didn't. The success of a show, for example, I can't stop watching, for example, The Gentleman, or Killing Eve,
Mhm.
or like those are that you keep watching and watching over and over and over, or you watch through the end.
Mhm. Yeah.
Most,
Yeah.
yeah. So it says, however, it was followed by Heart of Invictus, which, although a worthy look at the work of Harry's charity for injured servicemen men and women, was one of Netflix's worst performers of 2023. Why would Netflix be saying that? Because this is not Netflix. This is Megan trashing.
Megan. Mhm. Mhm.
Right.
Last year's
Disparaging.
Hollow
Trashing.
behind the scenes documentary about the sport, which barely featured the Sussexes, did not chart. How we know that Netflix is not releasing the numbers. So this has to come from Megan. Those who
Mhm.
do business with Netflix believe the new deal will be a much reduced offer compared with the current agreement. Will be focused entirely on Megan, and this time will be without a generous upfront payment. Right?
Mhm.
One senior TV and film producer said the renewal will be crucial in saving face all round, not least for Netflix. It's like Amazon endlessly renewing Phoebe Waller Bridges' deal. I don't know who that is, despite her coming up with nothing. It means that the executive who made the hire doesn't look as if they made a mistake. In this case, is Ted Sarandos. But at some point, Ted Sarandos has to, um, uh, he has to answer to the board of directors and to the people paying for that.
Mhm. Yeah, he has to for sure.
I can see what listen, I can see why it makes sense to renew for a much smaller money. This is Meghan Markle putting out this article asking to negotiate with Netflix that she's willing to take less money if they sign her on.
And I think there might be
What do you
a
guys think?
deal. Remember, we have to also remember that she did talk about a divorce book. Don't you think possibly
Yeah.
even a show or exclusive interview around the divorce could be part of that deal? I'm just speculating here, nothing that I've seen, but that could be part of it too. As Harry is edged out, Megan has cards that definitely align her to make a lot of money that have nothing to do with Harry. So that could be
Well, if
part
there's
of
a
it.
divorce, who's going to be the one speaking? Harry won't say anything. It's going to be Megan who's going to be the one you want to have the relationship with, right? If
Exactly.
you're
Harry
a
is not going to
entertainment
do anything.
company,
Yeah, because
right?
he's going
He's
to
going to
try
go
to get back
home.
in the good graces of his family. Exactly. So, of course, it's Megan you want that relationship with at that point. But while they appear
It'll
to
be,
be
she'll
together
embellish.
now,
It'll be so
Harry.
juicy.
Mhm. It would be
Yeah.
very, very interesting.
Well, the thing is though that with
And she's,
Harry, sorry, go
Oh,
Manuela.
oh, hold on one second. I
no,
have
no,
to
I
go
was just
get
going
my
to say
door.
she's probably like we don't know what she's saying to them. I mean, the relationship could be a lot on it's all on
Go
speculation, right?
home.
I'm going to be able to share this when I have. She could be promising so many things to them, and then this is keeping the link there. They don't want to let go of that, because it's like when you go to I always remember the story of somebody who was in Vegas and they were at a slot machine and they walked away to go to the bathroom. When they came back, somebody else won, right? You don't want to break the relationship, because you're going to miss out when it really becomes interesting, promising things to them. She's not creative, so she could only have a life story that's going to happen. Something's going to happen either with the kids or with Harry or with their story or with the relationship, or she has some insider info. There's going to be something there that only she can provide, and this is why this relationship is important to them. But she herself, her every day, the way they're living right now is nothing. They're not boring. It's just noise.
No, I agree. I mean, it is, but this is what people are saying, and this is what the press is running with. Oh, she signed a third season. Where in this
Mm-mm.
article does it say that? And maybe, guys, I don't know how to read English, but can somebody please point it out to me?
So maybe she's promising. What's she going to talk about in the third? More interesting. Does she have a new bag to put, pretzels in? I mean, what are we going to look at in the third season?
But there is no third season. There is no third season. That's
Right.
the whole thing. There is no third season.
No,
This
no
is all Meghan
content.
Markle. You know what this reminds me of? What they wrote in the Sussex Royal. The demands that they put, we're going to get private security, we're going to be half in, half out, and the queen doesn't own the word royal. That was their wish list. To me, this is what it seems to me. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think in the chat? I mean, please let me know if you think that this indicates that somebody's saying Roxanne is saying I suspect MM is involved with Ted Sarandos. No, I don't think so. No.
Well,
You know why, Pat? If
what?
she were, you would have Ted Sarandos announcing he has a Netflix deal with Meghan. Netflix has not announced any deals with Meghan.
They haven't announced anything.
Mm-mm.
Right.
No.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you
You
can keep
know,
reading. Yeah, I mean, if you want, like, we can finish. But I mean, where does it say here? Maybe let's see if we see here what it says at the end. Maybe at the end it says we signed the deal, because now they're saying it's in September that they're going to sign, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why would you
Because we
wait till September to sign? Isn't that
because
when? I mean,
because
it's be.
because she's filming, and I can say this here. She is pocketing out of her money. The only reason why they only released 8 episodes was because they did so badly that they didn't want to release the other 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And now Meghan Markle is filming with new people. She's not going to release the other 8 episodes that she had.
she wants to get other people.
She's releasing new episodes. And I'm going to ask the chat, because you guys in the chat are very smart. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think that if Meghan Markle had Jose Andres, Mindy K, well, she had Mindy Kaling was the most highest profile yet, but if she had Jose Andres to start with, and then let's say Mindy Kaling, and then Roy Choi, and then that Alice Waters, and then whatchamacallit, whatever big celebrities that she has, she wouldn't have started with that instead of starting with her stylist.
Exactly.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't just have the stylist as part of the first episode and have all these other, well, you know, more high profile people to come later. You start off strong to set the tone
Yeah,
for the series. Yeah.
to hook people in. I mean, guys, that's what you do. You show the strongest and the most,
Yeah.
Jose Andres cooking, making the kitchen. That's just
Hmm.
my point of view. You don't start weak with an unknown stylist that she didn't even know.
Right. Hmm. Yeah.
And then the Piranha, this is Missy Lulu says that Piranha Netflix hasn't announced Meet Me at the Lake movie production if it's ever going to happen.
Yeah. Now we know Netflix actually ended up buying that, right? So Harry and
Yeah.
Meghan are not even, I think, really attached to that, from what I understand. So yeah, that's probably still going to happen, but I don't think it has any attachment with Meghan or Harry to it, at this
No.
point. Yeah,
And
because we saw in the earlier how they were with the one director that they got rid of. I think they're just difficult to work with, and people saw
Hmm.
that, and I think it's too much of a risk to put them in charge or behind anything that you may want to do, because they're not going to let you have control over it, and you're the one coming with the money. So I just see it as, that is no longer on the table for them. I mean, that's at least what it looks like to me. I mean, what do you think, Paula?
I don't
And
know. I mean,
Layla, do you think?
look
I
at this.
mean,
Look at this thing. Megan's has, Megan hasn't got anything on the screen as a producer. None of the scripted films or TV shows she talked about have come to fruition, but
mm-hmm,
people are fascinated by her on a global level.
mm-hmm,
And that's not true of many people. And then listen to this. Of her scripted shows, the animated children's series Pearl was junked before going into production, and an adaptation of the best-selling romantic novel Meet Me at the Lake has not yet to have an approved script. Now, they don't this is Megan not saying why Pearl didn't come to fruition. It's because she stole the idea
she
from
stole it
the
from that
writer.
lady. That's right.
Yes. See, this is Megan, but why? Why didn't it come to fruition? Because this lady had been in talks in 2019, and she had written books that had been translated, you know, and she was talking about it, but then COVID hit and she had cancer, and she was too afraid to speak out when Netflix, because it's a giant, and Megan has a huge platform thanks to the royal family,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
and she has seen how people come after
Yep.
um, uh, people like that. So she was going through cancer and she couldn't do it. So this is why, guys, this entire thing is Megan. This is her entire thing. Megan asking, I can see why it makes sense to renew for much smaller money. Why? If she's such a
Hmm.
global star, why would she be renewing for less money?
Right. That doesn't make sense. But she tries to make it seem like it's logical. I mean, she's a gaslighter. We know that Megan, even before she was even known as a royal, before that, she was already doing this kind of stuff as a peon person, trying to make it in Hollywood. She was trying to get in the paper. She was trying to get headlines. She was trying to get booked on shows. Like, this is a part of when I talk about on my show with me typing and, oh yeah, she's conniving, because that's what she does. And
Yeah.
all she's doing now is she's continuing connive with the popularity that she has now, being married to Harry. It's just a continuation of the things she's always already had been doing, you know?
Yeah, I just want to answer this. I foresee Lemonada dropping her. Do you know what she's doing now, guys? You can watch the other ones that she recorded with Lemonada if you pay a fee.
Mm.
I mean, this woman is
Wait, wait, wait,
desperate.
wait, 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 wait. So she's charging a fee now to hear the rest of the episodes on Lemonada?
Yeah, if you want to listen to some of the episodes or whatever that she may
Please,
have.
I didn't even want to listen to it when it was free. Okay. So you really shoot yourself in the foot now, because I know I ain't paying to listen to that nonsense.
No.
But let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you something, because this is very interesting, guys. It says nothing has been heard of their planned feminist take on Charles Dickens' Great Expectations in more than a year. But Meghan clearly remains a source of huge interest, as seen this week when she shared a love story mood board to mark her seventh wedding anniversary to Prince Harry. It's interesting, that story, right? And she's now intent on monetizing that appeal with her elegant fingers plunged into several money making pies. Are we talking about the same fingers we've seen, guys?
Yes.
Megan having elegant fingers? You mean the claw?
She,
The claw, the
the
hand
claw,
claw, right.
the claw.
Wrinkled. Her hands
They're like
look like she's
lizard tails. These
a
fingers
woman.
keep growing back
And how is it that she still remains a source of huge interest?
because she
Oh,
wrote
but
it.
for her seven,
Not for her
because
content.
No.
no,
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, interest to see what you're gonna try to do now. Try, but not to really take what you're doing at face value as interesting. That's not the source of us, trying to
no,
see what she's doing.
no. And the thing that she talks about, the huge interest in on the love story moon board to mark her seventh wedding. Why was it
Yes.
interesting? Because she's married to Harry. Had it been
Right.
just about her,
Hmm.
and because 80% of those pictures were fake,
Yeah.
and people were basically debunking every picture there except the ones while she was as a working royal. Or she went to Botswana with Harry. We debunked the ones where they're nose to nose, the one with the baby thing, then the one with Archie, then the one with, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
There was
yeah,
much huge interest in a positive way. This is the gaslighting that Meghan does. Her as ever
Hmm.
brand launch with its fruit spreads, teas and biscuits, and crepe mixes selling out in less than an hour on April 2nd. That is not true. That
yeah.
is absolutely not true.
Mm, mm, mm.
And then you go, we don't know, of course, just how many items were produced. You know that people who actually pay for it are still waiting for it?
There are people still waiting to get their products from her.
Yeah, she hasn't
And
restocked.
refunds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's just, if you are
So wrong.
truly in business to make money and to really like go for it, wouldn't you have so much product to sell or back orders, like you would be getting that stuff out as quickly as possible? Why is it taking so long?
And then it goes, as for comment on the delay this week, her PR team at Archwell were saying nothing. However, I mean, how hard is it to do jams? Certainly, the brand launch with Megan says was done in association with Netflix, yet they don't have any. That's not true because they don't have any of the items at the store.
Yeah. So, yeah, isn't there supposed to be this Netflix store that's supposed
Yeah,
to
two
have the
malls.
products at the malls? Like, has there been any like notification about when that was going to be? When that's the items were going to be in the malls? Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, and I mean, she's basically has a website on her site, on her Instagram, and she doesn't allow comments, which is a bad way for companies. This is why she can't get your or any brand endorsements,
Right.
and then she puts links not to Carolina Herrera, but to a shop, but to because if she wears a Carolina Herrera shirt, she doesn't put
You have it.
the
Mhm.
link to Carolina Herrera. She puts it to a link that she's created, so she makes money off of it.
Mhm.
Carolina Herrera
Hmm.
and Dior, they don't wanna partner with her.
It's all about her trying to make money and get positioned in a place that is going to allow her to independently, absent Harry, to make a lot of money. But there's just, I don't see it happening.
Without really doing much, right? With just things and having all these LTK links or whatever it is, the very passive way of trying
Mm-hmm.
to live off of everybody else as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
actually producing something of value or doing or having actions that mean something.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say
In
something.
all of this, I know I heard Neil Sean talk about this in one of his most recent videos, how, things, I mean, just think about Harry for a second. How do you think
Mm,
he's faring with everything? They were saying how he has really gone into depression. That's what Neil Sean had was reporting when I listened yesterday. Have you heard
mhm.
anything or about his mental state, how he's doing?
Well, he's clearly
Just
unhappy, Pat.
speculations.
He's
Yeah.
clearly unhappy. Hi, George. I sent you the link. I sent you the link. Oh, where are you? Oh, you're here. Sorry. You're, 1 second. Sorry, George. Hi, sorry. Hello, George. How are you,
Hi,
How are you
sweetheart?
George.
doing? How you doing? All
Hello.
Good. How are
the time?
you?
Great. Manuela, how y'all doing?
Good.
Hi, good. How are
Yeah,
you?
great.
Good, good, good.
We were just reading that thing about Netflix that people are running with the story that they have renewed Meghan Markle's third. But then when you read the article, it doesn't say that. And it really bothers me when people just jump to that. It's always an inside source saying how Meghan is so important but she's willing to take less money. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I think the only thing that's going to happen here is what I shared probably right after With Love Megan had aired. And they announced the second season. I was like, look, this thing was filmed at this very same time. It's how Hollywood works. But the thing that I shared is when you look at the ratings, since it only lasted 6 days in the top 10 and then it plummeted. I said, you're going to have two options. Hollywood doesn't run like a normal business. When you lose money in Hollywood, they don't just stop and go, okay, we're either going to fix this or we're going to cut bait and run. In Hollywood, you have egos. That's more than important than their message, than sex or money is ego.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's only two possibilities because I've been saying that they're going to cut the contract with him. They're not going to renew it. unless you have Ted Sarandos doesn't want to be able to explain to his board, and more than likely to the whole Hollywood red carpet cult, doesn't want to explain to them, look, I failed. It's the very same way that Amazon's Jennifer Salke, before she was fired a few months ago, she had Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who had gotten famous in the UK for a show called Fleabag. Well, in 2019, Jennifer Salke, who would throw money, we're talking billions of dollars around, at friends who had the same political ideology. So she gave her a contract, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, $20 million a year starting in 2019 to produce any show, but it was primarily for Tomb Raider. To date, she's produced, after 5 years and $120 million, because they kept renewing it every 2 years, she produced 1 2-hour documentary about an octopus, and they keep paying her. That's Hollywood, because otherwise she'd have to tell the board, yeah, I blew $120 million and we got nada. So with Sarandos, what you have is either Meghan's doing a lot of work that we don't know about, the rock star, or which I believe this is more of like a puff piece. This is Meghan trying to sell herself, or the fact he's actually holding on for the divorce. Think about it. You have a film crew
That's what
there.
I said. Yep.
Yeah, you got a film crew of 80 there every day shooting at this rented kitchen by the hour. And they're going to be reporting back, you know, the executive producer, assistants, how the family structure is, everything. And so they're probably sitting here waiting like, okay, we need her for the divorce. So you cut bait with Harry, you offer her no money for a renewal contract. I still think they might cancel it. And if they renew her contract, they know it's just a matter of time. But that's my opinion. It's either going to be ego or the divorce they're waiting for.
Yeah. Yeah. So that makes sense. And I think they're trying, personally, I just think Meghan is holding on with Ted because she's talked to them about things that we don't know about. They're going to get the interview. They're going to get the exclusive, because I'm like, she'll make a lot of money from that, from, you know, this War of the Roses. This whole conflict with Harry is going to be a huge money maker. And that's the only reason why you would want Meghan. I mean, you know, Harry's not going to be doing an exclusive. He's trying to get back with his family.
Right.
You know, so
I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense, Badani, because the fact the only successful show they had is the one where they're throwing mud at the royal family. Their inner lives, everything else has been a flop. So when you think about it from that perspective, they're like, what do we have? Because a lot of people can always talk about that $100 million, $75 million deal, and they don't realize that the way that most deals like that are structured, they're performance based. Some people get money up front and they go, here's your whole deal, $75, $100 million. But it's how you perform. You know, you hit your numbers each show, you get this much. Next show, this much. You don't hit your numbers, thanks for playing.
Right. Yeah.
But
exactly.
they're
But
not.
this is the thing, George. People are saying, have you heard anything about Meghan being blacklisted? Because I heard that she tried to reach out to Dolly Parton, and Dolly Parton said no, thank you. And when people, you know, and I have to ask you guys, I mean, let's not forget that Meghan now is being a confirmed liar.
Yeah.
So I would take it. And Ted Sarandos didn't he get an OBE?
Yes.
So I mean, if they want to hear from somebody, it won't be from Meghan. It will be from Harry.
Yeah, the whole thing about blacklisting that happened. You remember the Vanity Fair article, which is the Bible in Hollywood.
Yep.
So, but 3 months before that, you had Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, and then Forbes. They each one basically they're it's like every religious text for Hollywood insiders and celebrities, called them out and burned them. When all of that, that's the way of saying go away. Don't let the door hit you.
Yep. People do not want to be associated with her professionally. I mean, we've seen her casually with Kerry Washington and who was it? There was a couple of others, but like, why are they not on her show? Why are they not working with her?
Well, Gwyneth Paltrow was recently asked again in a podcast, and she says, "I don't want to be part of that. I wish her well. You know, I only know her through text messages." And they asked her, you saw that, right, George? And then they asked her, but would you work with her? Yeah, why not? Although I'm not very good at baking. I'm like, wait a minute. What do you mean you only know her through text? Didn't you have her in your kitchen there? You know, like you only know her through text messages, and you that you wish her well, then why aren't you following her on Instagram? And she's following instead as ever NYC.
So let's talk about that for a second. Why do you think Gwyneth did that little cheap shot with Megan in her kitchen? Let's talk about that.
As George.
Polite. Oh, I think she was a Gwyneth Paltrow. Remember, Gwyneth Paltrow will support, as she has said many times, improving. She'll support any woman she views who's under attack or any woman who's running a business.
That's right.
Been her motto.
Mhm.
So she doesn't want to hurt her brand. So she views it as, oh, look, Megan's under attack. They live in Montecito. They're all in the same neighborhood. You're gonna bump into them somewhere. So she's like, well, what does it hurt her to pull her in? She probably hasn't thought out through the brand damage, but it's 5 seconds. But the answer as to whether she'd show up in her rented kitchen for season 2 of Televised Personality Disorder, I think was telling.
Yeah.
Because what she said there was a non-answer answer. It's like, yeah, I can't bake. Yeah, I would try, which is a polite way of saying no. If I
Mhm.
can fit it in at some point, sometime, yeah. Do I know her? No. She's in the neighborhood. We live together and we text. That's
Right.
like somebody, how it used to be in the old days, where you're like, do you know your neighbor? No, but when they came here, I took them a baked bread, some sugar and salt and honey, a gift, but how you
Right.
doing? They're not.
And
They're
then
civil, but you
also
don't hang out with them.
Yeah.
and also the Sussex squad were really going after Gwyneth, right?
Right.
So she was trying to get them off her back, did this quick little thing, and now okay, all is good with the world. She's no longer under attack. She feels like she's maintained, her motto about helping and supporting women. Okay, that's enough. Okay, I'm good. Let me just continue doing what I do. you
Right.
know. Yeah, but
She
if she's
played
really
politics.
showing her support, exactly. If she's really showing her support, she's like, "Hey, Megan, let me go on your show, girl. Let interview me about Goop on your Confessions of a Female Founder. Let's do this, girl. I'm all in. I'm supporting." No,
Right.
that's
See,
not
that's
Gwyneth is doing.
there you have it.
Mhm.
You nailed it. Where are all these big friends? Where's Beyonce? Where's Swift? None of them support any of her shows, products, prop stunts, PR. They don't do that. They just, oh yeah, I mean, you could even tell Beyonce, the concert, that tweet that she had put out, where she said, to Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, either she didn't watch the show, didn't hear about the rumor, or just doesn't give a damn. But either way, it shows you they have no connection. That whole look, Beyonce's calling us. Every one of these people do it for publicity.
Yeah.
But once a brand is damaged, it's like, okay, yeah, you showed up. Okay. Yeah. Do I want to have trouble? No. Okay, take a picture with it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
It's
actually
very superficial. It's very that's
Right.
how Hollywood is. It's very superficial.
Right.
Yeah.
and there's this psychologist that I played, and this says when the words don't match the behavior, always believe the behavior. And then for example, in this case, we have Tyler Perry's not following Meghan Markle on Instagram, but he's following Diddy.
Right.
He's still following Diddy, Oprah Daily follows Meghan, but it doesn't follow Oprah, doesn't follow Meghan. Like all of these, Priyanka Chopra does not follow Meghan. A lot of people, they don't follow her, and all the podcasts that she did, the people who came on her podcast, that lady from the cosmetic, the giant one, the one
Oh,
that
Jamie Kern Lima.
no, the other one, the one that's actually proper one.
I don't know.
They didn't
The
even
Jack-
feature her on their Instagram.
Oh, which one was it? The black lady, Terry
Jack-
something?
No, she did, but they turned off the comments. But there's two. The latest one that she had, that is the not Cassie, but the one that is actually
Victoria.
Kitcher or something like that. I can't remember. They don't have her. The one that was with a dating app, she didn't even feature her on her Instagram.
Interesting.
I don't know
Yeah.
who that is.
Yeah.
It's the woman with the on the dating app. Well, what's her name, Pat?
Bumble, the
Bumble?
The Bumble lady. She didn't even
yeah.
post it on her Instagram, not even in stories.
Oh
If you
wow.
look at her Instagram, is not there. And also this other woman, the woman that they said that she was the CEO of this company, the medical supplies.
Oh, Figs or Frigs or something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Nuh-uh, nothing.
Yeah.
And then the other ones, they have turned off the comments. They don't have the comments on.
But she doesn't leave. See, that's the other thing. That's what's really, again, telling. She has no comments on her Instagram. She turns them always off.
No.
You want to hear, if you want, you use social media so you can interact and engage with people. It's not just, it's not here. She uses it to advertise. Let me tell you, it's like the wedding anniversary of Gold Digger Inc. that she celebrated, where she turns around. It's like all about her. Here's my mood board. Okay. Here's the pictures. Where's Harry? It's the same thing with the photo of the kids. I mean, you have 1 week. You look at last month's, and I never talk about the kids, but it really struck me that Mother's Day photo. Remember, where it's her back and the kids are holding on to her. And I'm like, did their hair color change? Is that a photo filter? Something wrong? Because last month it's like you got the girl is a ginger, but next month she's a brunette gymnast with legs longer than Harry's latest list of lies. I mean, like what the hell is? No, it just didn't make sense. And I was like, I thought maybe it's the way they took it, the lighting, but you see some of these things, and it
the way she photoshopped the picture of them two touching their noses. Those pictures were taken from a trip that they did to New Zealand, and that's actually a very sacred greeting ritual that they have, George. And she cut them up and put them together, to make them look like it was a recent. What kind of a person does that?
Well, what kind of a person? A parent? Okay, ask any parent. What's your primary job when you raise your kids? You have to set a good example. So let's remove everything, because none of us know what's going on inside of a private life. We can only take what's publicly available, and then we try to extrapolate what's going on. So just from the public information available, right, that we have facts for. So you have the Royal Horticultural Society comes out, names a rose after Princess Catherine. 4 hours later, you got the Montecito delusional diva sitting here showing her dried rosebuds. I mean, it's and that happens repeatedly. So what she's showing the children is jealousy is healthy. I mean, it's everything. The mask is first. What you want is first. I was looking 2 days ago, because people always ask, how long do you give their marriage? And I used to say, the last few months I said a year and a half, but then I looked into California law. Do you know, like
10
Tom
years.
Cruise, 10 years. After 10 years, it's automatic 50-50 split.
But if he doesn't have anything, what is he going to give her?
Whatever they have, it's 50-50. That's why Tom Cruise in his last two marriages divorced like 9 years and 9 months. Yeah, it was like 9 years, 9 months. It's like, no.
Yep. So we look at that 2028 then, right? Or 9. Is it, when did they get married? 19.
Well, this is 7 years, 18, so 3 more. 18.
Yeah.
Unless she finds somebody, because I heard somebody, unless she finds somebody or she can secure a deal that she feels that, because at the end of the day, unless the royal family gives her like $200 million for Harry, for the kids, for Harry to go back, I don't see that happening.
How much did they give Fergie? I don't think they'd give her any
Fergie
money.
ended up walking away with almost nothing because she cheated. It was very public.
Right.
And Andrew didn't have very much money. So she didn't get very much money. And the girls stayed with the royal family, and they paid for everything for the girls. And then she got herself massively in debt. So the Princess Diana did well. She got 15 million pounds, which was a lot back then. And then on top of that, she got 400,000 a year because she was allowed to stay at Kensington Palace, and they gave her 400,000 to run for the staff and everything else. But Fergie did badly because the Queen did believe that Diana she did try to be a good wife, and it wasn't her fault the marriage turned out the way it did.
Right. So I don't think they're going to give her more than Princess Diana, and I don't even think that, because
Diana was valuable.
Correct. There you go, man. She was valuable. She had.
What do you mean was valuable?
Yeah.
So they're saying that Sarah Ferguson received around 800,000 pounds as a settlement after her. Yeah, so not much.
And on top of that, she has to pay taxes on whatever money she gets.
Yeah, she didn't do well at all.
But then you know what? If she had gone back to live her life the way she lived it before, she would have been okay. But she couldn't let go of the kind of life she gotten accustomed to.
Well, that's hard if you think about it. It's like that old saying. It's like it's like people who go from being wealthy to poor. That's a big change if they've been that way for a long time than going from poor to
yeah.
Okay.
For the rich, yeah, you can handle that.
I'm
Because
okay.
they,
I'm okay. It might change of fortune.
yeah,
It's
you
a
know what I'm
steep
saying,
hill,
though.
but we'll climb it.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
climb it,
much
we'll climb it
different.
back, it's always, but Fergie, the thing is that Fergie, like, Fergie it was a leech when she got caught selling. What I do see, Megan,
Yeah,
and this
that's
is
sad.
one of the things that was told to me, is that she really, really wants to exploit the children, but Harry's against it. And California law requires both parents' consent for the
Mhm.
children's faces to be shown. And this is the
Mhm.
struggle that Megan is having. This is why you see some of the children are straight up hired, because clearly we know that Lily is not taller than Archie.
Right.
No,
Right.
that's why I said that. But see, again, this is why I don't think she look at as ever everything she's touched. When you read that Daily Mail article, or people that I don't know how much money she pays, or if she has cultists over there, but it's
$950
but then the way that they praise her and look at her success, I'm like, okay, break down what is successful. PR
Mhm.
fluff. What actually has succeeded? They're like, oh, look at her shop my account. That Carolina Herrera $1,600 outfit sold out. And I'm like, okay, who's paying $1,600? Who has that type of money today? It would be people, if it's true, of the similar mindset. So again, it's a small subset, but they
Mhm.
blow that up and like, oh my God, why hasn't Netflix restocked her? They're partners with her in As Ever. How come they haven't restocked anything in 2 months?
They never got any to sell in their stores. They never got anything to sell in their stores. You would have think they don't even feature in her website. If they are partners, why doesn't she have on the As Ever website partnered with Netflix? Because Netflix wants nothing to do with that website because she's with that snowboard company, and it's everything. It's incredible. And she uses the New York laws. I did a video about it, right, Pat? Because the
Mhm.
New York laws, since 2020, I believe, they relaxed the sanitation requirements for food and products and stuff like that. So in her website, she puts that it doesn't matter what the United States says. It doesn't matter anything. But you buying her products, you are bound by New York law. She can't determine that. It's the law of the United States that determines the jurisdiction of the product, and that is determined by where you buy it or whether where you sell it or where you receive it. I asked a few lawyers, and they all confirmed it. She can't unilaterally decide, oh, it's going to be in New York. No, she can't do that. She's not, the president, not even the president. She's not the Supreme Court. So
Mhm. Mhm.
interesting. So how do you guys see this ending, George? By the way, guys, go watch George's woke monologues. I've been posting the link throughout the whole thing. So you go watch that because it's amazing.
Thank you.
Um, and please, please go subscribe to Manuela's channel, P. Dinah's channel, if you're watching on my channel. But you have to watch George monologues because I love them. But what do you see this wrapping up with them?
Me?
Hmm.
Are you? Oh, well, it's inevitable. It's a divorce, a train wreck. And I think, especially after the security case and Harry's interview, the way that blew up, I think we're going to get a few more stunts like that. I expect a book to come out. But, if you really, I was talking to someone yesterday, it's like, if you really wanted to get Meghan out of the headlines, out of Netflix, where they didn't have a choice, I mean, really squeeze and put the pressure,
Mhm.
it'd be impossible to do. But you'd have to get every YouTuber who does Meghan for when With Love Meghan comes out season 2 to not cover it for a month. No headlines. All they
Mhm.
have is paper. That's um, but what I think is going to be a train wreck. It's going to be who's going to go first is what I don't know.
Hmm.
Is it going to be Megan's going to take the first stab, or is it going to be Harry? Harry, so far that he's proven, a lot of people will say that Megan's the one that drug Harry into this corrosive quicksand of her Hollywood victimhood grift. I never thought that. I've always looked at it like, because if you're a good man who simply took a wrong turn in life,
Mhm.
Hmm.
you would expect at some point that we would have seen a sign of goodness from it. If you're truly good and you just messed up, you got bamboozled, manipulated, brainwashed, whatever you want to call it, uh, you would expect to get glimmers of that goodness here, there, just popping out somewhere. He
Mhm.
approved of mocking the Queen in the Netflix special, attacked his family in Spare,
Yeah.
the endless interviews. He just basically said the royal family wants him, his spouse, his sprouts dead. and the BBC interview. So I don't see that goodness. I see a man whose hate found a home and now is lost because nothing has worked out. Like, that's the problem. So which one unravels first? Given
Mm.
Harry's weakness, I almost think Harry will, because weak people crumble. And it's just how long she wants to hold him up and how long he wants to put up with it. Because this
Yeah, but
whole
he's used to
security,
it. He's used to all this privilege. He's not used to going through struggle because the Buckingham Palaces and everything. I just want to say something, Vivian Percy. You said, ladies, yeah. No, I actually did a video about that. This you can go watch it when I exposed that the birth certificate is starts with 105 and not 104, which is the California thing.
what do
But
you think's going to happen? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
no,
interrupt.
no, 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 no. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Pat?
Well, this has given me something to think about with the divorce laws, because I thought it was 5 years, but so you're saying it's 10 years, George, right?
10.
We're okay.
California.
So I think Megan will definitely hold on for it till the 10 years. I mean, it's not much further till that is 10 years.
No.
I think she will be the one to end up leaving him. And I think Harry's already sick of her. I think they are somewhat not even together as we speak. And, but they have to appear like they are together for financial money making potential reasons, whatever. But I think Meghan is going to ride this to her glory of independence, because this is a woman that has used Harry for what he's worth. He doesn't have any more value. She can literally wait out until 10 years and still go on her own and make a great life for herself financially. And that's what I think she'll do. And Harry is already talking about reconciling with his family. He's already wanting to be back home in the UK. He is not going to live in California a happily ever after. He's a prince. He's not used to paying his bills. He's not used to paying the phone bill, paying his rent. This man has always had everything taken care of for him. It doesn't behoove him to want to live this struggle in Los Angeles. I think he wants to go back to what is familiar to him, and also these children, and losing out all of this time with family. There's so much value in these relationships that his kids are losing right now. So I think at some point it's going to end when it benefits Meghan the most. So we're looking at another few years, and then it's going to be shortly after that, it's going to be over. And Harry's already trying to get back now. We
But
we
how
see it.
how could he
Mhm.
go back after that interview? Like,
He thinks he can. That's why he's trying. And I don't know whether or not he will be successful, but that is what he wants. I mean,
I
that
agree with you.
interview we know was not a good thing for him, but I think he was pouting because he didn't get his security. He's
Right.
making these little idle threads, he can go and do these interviews. But you saw the hurt and pain in this man when he did that interview. He is not happy. He is missing his life. Look at what's happened with Bali.
Okay.
Looks what's happened with the park, African parks. Where is his future going to lie moving forward? He has nothing successful. I mean, Invictus Games is already wanting to kick Meghan to the curb. That's the only real thing that he really has that's hanging on by a thread, and that's not every year. So Harry is just going to cut his losses, I think, and I think his family is going to maybe do an intervention, because it looks like he does. I mean, if they really are going to maybe bring him back, it would have to be something like trying to get him away from Meghan. I don't know how that would work, but Harry just seems he's very alone. I feel he's alone and lost and hanging on to Meghan only because she is there. That I mean, that's what he has, but he's trying to get back with
Well,
his
he did
family.
voice that. He did voice that in that interview that he wants a reconciliation, and I do believe that was
Yeah.
a legitimate thing. And I just want to say something because we're giving Megan too much credit because it works both ways. Because the royal family might say to Harry, "You cannot wait 10 years because in 10 years you're screwed. You need to
Exactly.
get out now." before you reach the 10-year mark.
The,
Otherwise,
the
so
intervention. That's yeah. That's what that would be.
Harry might be thinking, and Harry's fed up because Harry, you see, Harry's used to being loved because Buckingham Palace, Harry's a narcissist. I had the body language guy, I had Scott Rouse here 2 days ago, and he said Harry's a narcissist. Absolutely. So he's not used to not being loved nor liked. He's not used to Buckingham Palace not covering up for him.
It hurts him. And Neil
Mhm.
Sean was just reporting how he's in a bad place right now. He's got depression, and we know he's used to doing drugs to numb himself. You know,
I think
I
it's only
think
going to
Harry
get
is the one
worse.
that's going to hurt for him. Yeah, he's going to be
Or
in
he,
a.
I think
I
he's
think
going to
he's
be
in
the one
pain
who files
now.
for divorce.
You think
You
so?
think what,
I,
Paula?
I think he will file for divorce first.
You think he'll
Hmm.
file for first?
Yeah, I
If
think
his
he will.
family gets to him, if they want to help him, that's what will happen. If he's alone and trying, no, I
But I
think
think the
only through
family
his
are already
family.
starting to do that. That article of him donating to this Hema,
Oh yeah.
it's that's the way of that's how the royal family work. They start with small things. Why is he donating to Hema? And then, unfortunately, immediately right after, I did an interview. I did a video posting when Meghan. Immediately, they use Meghan's name. As soon as they mention Harry gave money, then another article came, just like when Meghan did. So that's
Mm,
Meghan's way of attacking. But then I did a video showing that it
That's
wasn't Meghan, it was the Royal Foundation who gave the money.
yeah, and this is the thing. We saw how the royal family spun Camilla out of
Yeah.
being the most hated woman. The
hmm
royal family know how to spin a story, how to spin a narrative,
I,
and if
I would.
Harry decides to go back, they will help him.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not hard. He's Diana's son.
100%
He's
right.
Princess Diana's son, guys. And I hear
Yeah,
royal commentators, and I even hear some people, oh, we want him back. Meghan is terrible. We want him back. Poor guy. I hear, and I'm like, you know, and I've said that he's the evil British Forrest Gump, but still, he's still he's a grown man. I said that in my video 2 days ago, guys, because of the donation I did, that they did, because they're starting already with this. Harry already went, oh, he wants to reconcile, and he threw it back at the family. If they invite me, I will come.
yeah,
That's
and the Spencers. The
I,
Spencers might be helping him too.
you
mm,
know,
Yeah.
mm.
I will have to respectfully in that way disagree. I
Go
love
for it.
what you're
Okay, so what?
saying, but
Let's hear. Okay, what's your point, George? Come on,
the
let's.
reason I say is because unless by everything that I know and everything that we read, I would love to ask Lady C because she has more connections and probably Paula knows. But everything public we know, Prince William is not speaking to them. He doesn't
No, no,
want to
he's not.
speak.
He's not.
He
He's
wants
not.
nothing to do with them. The
Right.
only person who could talk to him, who used to, would be King Charles. He's not speaking to them because they can't trust him. Now, King Charles, by what we know historically, especially when he used to have his phone calls with Camilla, you remember those days with
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The tampon, yeah.
the tampon. So we
Mm,
know most likely in that marriage who he leans on and who probably helps guide his decisions. And after Harry hurt her, the king probably he came to the front. So I doubt the family directly. Maybe cousins, Beatrice, Eugenie, they're probably going to come out.
mm-hmm.
But I don't really believe that neither Prince William for having Princess Catherine attack while she had cancer, Prince King Charles being attacked directly and indirectly while he has cancer. I don't think
Horrible.
Camilla's going to allow that. I don't think Prince William's going to allow that. I think he's out on his own. That's just
Yeah, but
Mm,
I think you know what? I think that Prince William, I think I've heard whispers that he's putting together, because what people don't understand is that the way that bills are put forth in Parliament is
mm-hmm.
either an MP brings it, or and especially that has to do with the monarchy, or the monarch requests, like when the Queen requested the Succession Act to be amended and go from gender to primogeniture and to allow Catholics back in. So, but it's not only something that it's only for the monarch. The Prince of Wales also has a right to ask Parliament to change a bill, to amend a bill, which is actually one of the reasons why Charles got in so much trouble as Prince of Wales, because he was writing letters, influencing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because as Prince of Wales, he can ask. And from what I understand, Prince William wants to ask, or wants to, is already drafting a bill, which is
Yep.
apparently part of the disagreement that he had with his father. And this is why they broke up with lawyers, because you know that William changed lawyers and he's using his mother's lawyers.
Hmm.
It's because he wants, Charles doesn't want to, but William wants to amend the Succession Act that only children born in in the United Kingdom and royals living in the United Kingdom
Kingdom.
residing permanently can have royal titles and be in the line of succession.
Yep,
That's
that's what's
good.
happening now behind the scenes, is what they're
He should.
saying. Yep.
And it this is actually something that is really happening, and Charles doesn't want to, but if it were up to William, and because and it is not really targeting Harry and Meghan, but it's given an incentive for people that if you're going to be a member of the royal family, you might as well be born here and live here.
And I
Right.
think people can't argue that. People can't, like Megan will try to spin racism if
Oh,
they were to take it away. So if he aligns it with this, people can think logically, yeah, that makes sense. And they won't let William be looking like he's the bad guy if something happens and Megan tries to spin racism. People will definitely look at what William is saying about living here and being a working royal, all of that makes sense. And I think that's the best way to do it, that where he will not get any backlash
but
for
what would he?
that
That is
happening.
something that should be regulated, and apparently that he
Yeah.
also wants to put that all the details of like the medical records, not records, but the medical doctors and stuff like that. Like they put the easel,
Hmm.
because there was law up until 1948 when Charles was born. The king said no, but we're going to put the easel out. It was a gentleman's agreement. It became
Hmm.
protocol, but the only ones
Hmm.
who broken it are Meghan and Harry, right?
Hmm.
So, but apparently he wants to bring that back into law as well. So he's
Yeah.
asking for that. King Charles doesn't want to do it.
That's the best
He
way to
didn't want to
do
put
it.
the bill forward.
Should
So William
absolutely.
got his own lawyers to do it because he can present the bill forward as the Prince of Wales and be ready when he becomes king.
That's right. That's what you do, William. That's right. We're gonna
I
we're
agree
gonna
with that.
support that 100.
Heck
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to
William, do
support
it.
that boy. We're going to support him 100. And apparently he
Hmm.
wants to restore his mom's HRH posthumous.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
that would
I
be
like
great.
that. What do you
Hmm.
think, Manuela? What do you think is going to happen with Harry
I,
and
um,
me?
I think that it's a shame that she doesn't keep her comments on, because if
Yeah.
she's being authentic and she's going to learn from people, then she would know what her next move should actually be. And I think that if she had strength and support, she would go balls to the walls and she would just grab anything that she can. And right now she's not. I think she's playing a very bad game right now with what she's doing, because it's falling apart, and you can see her lies, and you can see the inconsistencies. You can see that they actually have no value, or they're not really building anything. They don't really have purpose. I do think that Harry could always fall back to his family and be part of that team. Yes, it'll take time. They need to fix some of the connections. They need to get the children out of the line of succession, or clear that up. Really give evidence as to the strength or validity of that. So once that's figured out, then they'll know where Harry sits and where Meghan sits. And if they can control her and weaken her, then he'll make the move. But if she thinks that she's going to be, and she's got support, I think she'll make the move. That's
I
my
agree with
my
it.
hunch.
I agree with that. I still can't believe how it hasn't. Like, I saw that YouGov poll that was released a week ago where 65% of UK adults, can't stand Meghan Markle. And I was like sitting there going, who the hell are the 35% that like her? When she has that
Right.
shop my account with, Duchess of
That's
Sussex,
embarrassing.
I was like, that right there's got to me, if I was in Parliament, that would drive me up the wall, or in the royal family.
Yeah, no, I mean it's absolutely disgusting, to tell you the truth, and it's embarrassing every day, every day. And this is one of the things, we are Canadian, Manuel and I, and it's like, and I was talking to Scott about it, that my channel, people say it's a hate channel. It's not a hate channel, but to me, it's like you're watching one of Charles, the monarch, it's the head of state of Canada. Period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm. He's going to be
everything.
here on Tuesday.
Yeah, and not, oh, you should go, Manuela. But everything that they do represents us, whether it's good or bad. Because Meghan Markle is using HRH. She's not a royal. She's
Yeah.
not, but they're using, and the crazy things that they do to use, like when she wrote that letter to the U.S. to Congress, it shouldn't have been from the office of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. It should have been from the U.S. citizen, Rachel Meghan Markle.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
should have written back. I think it was Nancy Pelosi should have written back. We had a little thing called a revolution. I don't recognize these titles here.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
No,
You
but
know,
Mm-hmm.
where's
they
the
don't
who
do
are
that. They
you?
don't do that.
No,
You see,
because
you can go meet
A
Charles
lot of
Manuel.
people play the long game.
yeah, they do,
Sorry?
and that I agree with you. But it's like when you look at the, I don't know, the shop my account drives me up the wall. I love the monarchy and I respect it, but that irritates me because it's like turning it into, I don't know, like a Wendy's
Cheapen it.
hamburger, a tampon.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, hey, let me just, because I don't put that past Megan. I wouldn't put anything past her. If she's
No, no,
like,
no, 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 no.
buy a buck. It's like, how come as ever
Mm-hmm.
hasn't come out? There's something I was thinking about
People
when
are
I was
still, she sent the letter saying, "I apologize. You didn't get
right.
the things that you bought." It's like that's fraud. That's stealing. Can you imagine, Manuela? If I don't get my Botox, my liquid Botox, I would be very upset. No, like I'm serious.
And all
And
those
a month
It's like
lots of
you
it
would
because they
see me
make us
here
frown
completely
so much.
unhinged. You will
and
see
two
me
months
completely unhinged.
and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
2 months after you launch, 2 months,
yeah.
it's
She
like,
hasn't been
Right.
able to send the money to people or refund them or anything.
yeah,
That is
it's
so
Yeah,
crazy.
what's
wrong.
interesting
So
is
the bees, pro-
if we're ever sold out of anything, you have people that either they'll ask you, where is this product? And you're in business. Business is to make money or to have sales. This is the whole purpose why you build something. I can't. I just think it's interesting that they're not moving on replenishing their inventory unless they have
It's
zero
jam.
demand. I mean,
It's
maybe
jams. It's
it's jammed,
cookies.
there's returns, or no one's interested, or
This is
so
not
what
like
what are they
Elon Musk.
replenishing?
This
yeah.
is not like Elon Musk building a rocket. This is jam,
Yeah.
Right.
I'm really
honey.
It's not
wondering if the
jam, it's
whole,
a spread. It's a
yeah,
watered
Sorry,
down
sorry. I
liquid.
apologize. I
yeah,
apologize. I deeply apologize.
that's much kinder
But
than what
didn't
I've
she
called it.
say jam is my jam? Those who
Yeah,
know me,
She
jam is
did
my jam.
say.
Did she say that?
But words don't mean anything to her. And the
no,
words she just grabs things and puts it together and counts
Mm-hmm.
fact check, or if they were to, she turns around and says, how dare you, you're racist or you're picking on me, right? It's just going to be
Mm-hmm.
always this. So the
You
words,
know,
it's just whatever.
it's because
I
they
had.
don't face real report. They don't face real interviewers because a real
Yeah.
interviewer
Oh yeah.
could
No.
Just
just
come to my
tear into.
channel. Come to my
Yeah,
channel or George's channel or P. Dinah's channel.
oh yeah,
Like P.
Yeah.
Dinah, Megan claiming that she was raised by a black strong mother on the ghetto. Like
No, no, no.
P. Dinah, she was born and there. P. Dinah comes from the hood.
Yep.
Like her story is like real. Like
oh
like
no
Megan
no,
just a user perpetrator. Mm.
100%. Well, the thing is, she has a cooking show, right? Supposedly a lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
cooking show. But then she goes on a podcast and is like, well, I actually don't cook when I'm busy.
Right.
You
They
mean
don't
like
like to cook.
everybody else? The whole purpose of
Right.
a cooking show is supposed to show, when you're busy, this is how you can throw something together fast so it can look good, look great, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not too.
Yeah. None
Yeah,
of that.
I think what happened was the bees quit and she decided to stomp her feet and it's not talking to the raspberry anymore. But it's
oh
Mhm.
just
my
these
god,
people.
that's
It,
terrible. That is
uh,
terrible.
it's
But
just it's like that letter that was released again, another PR stunt. The American
this is
Airlines still.
stupid.
Oh
And the
yeah,
napkin, I
that
couldn't read
story.
it. What did it
I
say?
I know.
Yeah,
It's
did you all know about that story? Paula, do you know about it? What they
that stewardess that sent her a letter. The Megan received the letter, and the stewardess. This woman is. Megan, come on, girl. This is like the pilot who kneeled before her and said, "Thank you for your service."
Yeah.
Sit in a corner, shut the hell up. The Queen did her service. Princess Catherine is doing her service. Even Charles is doing his
Mm-hmm.
service. The Duchess of Edinburgh did her service. Princess Anne is doing her
Princess
service.
Anne, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
hardest
Princess
working
Anne
woman.
is my hero.
Yeah,
Like I swear to God. Hey, Lacey B, thank you for Fidina
Oh,
membership.
thank you,
We're
Lizzie
gonna get
P.
going, and we're gonna be seeing you guys on Saturday. Hopefully, George, and go watch George monologue. And I have good news for you,
Yes.
George, but I'm just waiting for it to be confirmed on Monday. This person that I told you is very controversial, and I'm very worried you going on her show. But
amen.
but she responded, so I am very very happy, and I want to make up. I'm not gonna say her name right now, but I am
Okay,
warning you. she's very controversial, and you
It's
know that.
okay. I know that. It's okay. I appreciate it.
Okay.
God
George
bless you.
is good. He's got this, right,
Now we
George?
can't wait.
No, I mean he's gonna go on her channel, so hopefully. So, but I just say because she's amazing. I love her, but we how people are. People are stupid.
Yeah.
So
Hey, I want to ask you one quick question before we go, if that's okay.
I love anything you want.
What do you think of when they said that Chrissy Teigen is go on? I don't think people realize the brand baggage that comes with Teigen after
Yes,
what she
that's
did.
terrible.
They're too
It's bad
similar.
news when Kris Jenner drops you. It's bad news when Kris Jenner drops you because they were going to remember George. They were going to go into business with those pots and pans, and when the bullying thing came out, Kris Jenner dropped her. And by the way, Chrissy Teigen hasn't come out and said I'm going on Meghan's show.
Right.
This is the detail everybody's missing. It was reported on People magazine.
But let's say she goes, Paula. Let's say she goes.
Uh-huh.
I'm accepting. Let's say she goes. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
The second she's on there, when they show the trailer and they show the clip of her,
Mhm.
her entire history of telling that minor
Yes.
to
Yes.
self-delete, to off them. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Because you
I'm
can't
gonna
say it
do
on.
this about
Yes.
that. We're gonna
Yes.
do them.
Think about it.
Fidina hadn't seen those tweets. Fidina
you
was
haven't?
shocked. No,
Paula showed them to me. I mean,
Oh.
wow.
Imagine telling a young person, a teenager, like,
a trouble
oh,
teenager.
yeah, trouble teenager, especially that, but telling them to go self-delete. I mean, when that comes out,
Exactly.
what are you going to say? It's like the ancient Greeks said, show me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are. So Megan's going to go, this is my best friend.
Yeah.
You go, really?
And
So
what
you're-
about their what do you call that? That association that they put together with all those parents. I mean,
Parent
what are they going to
network.
say? How
Yeah.
are they going to
She
explain
has a
the parent
podcast.
network? How are they going to explain themselves? Like
See?
this is like very terrible.
Could you
But she
imagine?
has a podcast.
Very,
Chrissy
very
Teigen
bad
has
for
a
their
podcast.
brand.
Right, yeah. I
Chrissy
don't.
Teigen has a podcast.
Yes, but she has a podcast.
I'm
And
just reiterating
most
what
of
you
the
just said. And what are you saying that she should do? Like, what's the
well,
point?
she has a podcast on how to feel good, and then most of her guests are people that Oprah has first because
Oh.
Oprah's tight with her with John Legend and her. And this is one of the things because you saw my friend, she went to the King's Trust at Cipriani's in New York, and I
Yeah.
asked Terry about it. And John Legend was there, and she was there, and this is after the scandal with the bullying. And you know how close my friend is,
Oh,
and
yeah.
every time we went to the Queen of Spain's also auction because her husband.
Yeah.
But she, I mean, I don't know why John Legend was there, and the reason why Chrissy Teigen is famous is because she married somebody famous.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. It's the
But
same
that
thing
needs
like
to be
Meghan Markle.
exposed. Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Right,
It's like
similar.
tomorrow. Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
if you removed that Daily Mail article, really drove me crazy with that whole line of Ted Sarandos calls her my rock
rock
star. And I'm like, okay,
Star.
remove the title and Harry.
Yeah.
You have
What do you have?
a failed actress.
Yeah, she is somebody that's not really going to ever make any headway in Hollywood because her baggage. She
Right.
has so much baggage behind her that she will never rise above that to make herself anything in Hollywood. It's the only thing it's going to be is her divorce from Harry is going to give her legitimacy, I think.
The only thing she could do with that is start another podcast where the only thing she could
She's charging
Eat-
now, George.
right eat off of would be to sell dirt. This is what Harry did day one,
That's
day
right.
two, day three, day
And she's
four.
But
got
even
the
that, how many
pictures.
episodes would that be?
True.
And
Yeah, but she's got a
says
lot.
It
She's got
says
a lot on him.
It says a lot. Well, one senior TV and film producer said the renewal will be crucial in saving face for all around, not least for Netflix. To me, this is all Meghan writing this. This is a threat from Meghan Markle saying, I am going to expose you guys. Because that's what this woman does.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I want to know why the
She's
Daily
doing a
Mail
Blake
seems.
Lively.
Yes, exactly. I started digging into that. I was interested because I saw the what's going on with Ryan Reynolds and Lively. But what I found interesting is it seems like the Daily Mail has kind of like, I don't know if I'm reading it wrong, but like a little, not a civil war, but a split in how they view Meghan. You have a couple of people there who praise her in every article nonstop. And then others who are like, here are the facts. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
because those are articles paid for by Megan. So
Mm,
her PR people put that up, and then you have the real reporters saying, "No, that's BS." You know,
okay.
That's what I was
so
gonna say.
this is what's
What
really
Megan
happening.
writes, what other people write.
Shalon Lester, she was the editor of Star Magazine. She said that Meghan Markle would want to have at least three stories. She had three publicists, and she would need three stories. She was a source. She would need at least three stories daily about her. I mean, and even back then, and
Yeah,
so
it's really bad
and that's
now.
stupid. No, that's so stupid. But anyways,
what was the Vogue one that I heard about that I didn't dig into it yet?
Vogue one.
Something came out that she wanted a cover on Vogue, but
Oh, she fell off with
Mm.
Edward
Oh,
Enninful.
mm,
that's right.
Yeah.
Edward Enninful, yeah,
Yeah.
he fell she fell off, and and because he was blacklisted by the king, he wasn't invited, and that's all it took, not to
got
be invited 1 year. Now he's back with the king, and he was invited to that dinner
Hmm.
with Stanley Tucci, and now he's back with the king. George
it.
Clooney is his wife. Not only that, guys, the king created at the King's Trust the Amal Clooney Women's Empowerment Award that she
Mm.
handed over in 2022, and it won by this Pakistani lady instead of Meghan's, and he made her an ambassador for that. And there's an Amal Clooney Women's Empowerment Award.
Okay.
I did a video about that, and Meghan was seething. Meghan was, I mean, like, and
It must have not gone down well with Harry that he didn't make the Time 100 top philanthropist, but his brother did.
I don't think he did. The thing is that people, Pat, you have a text I sent. We can't share the text, but I can tell you for a fact that Harry is not living with Meghan. If you see,
Mm.
there was not even one thing from Harry, not even one post of Meghan going out to dinner with Harry on their seventh wedding anniversary. Why was there? This woman post if she pooped, she
I know.
posts, and
Yeah.
then there's not one picture of
No.
them, or Backgrid caught them going to a dinner for their wedding anniversary, seventh wedding anniversary.
Like they
Yep.
used to when they would go to restaurants 2 or 3 years
Yeah.
ago.
Hmm.
Exactly. Nothing.
I agree
Nothing.
with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
says. But
During
anyways, they're
COVID.
gonna get going, guys, because
Okay.
Pat has to go, and Manuela. But please go watch George Giant Slayer. George, this is your home. We do this every Saturday. You
I'll
can,
be
we're more than happy. And knock on wood, I will have news for you on Monday. So that'll be awesome.
And
I'm
thank
making
you,
up my.
Josephine White, for your super sticker.
Oh,
Okay.
there was a super sticker. Thank you. Yes,
Mhm.
everybody, thank you for watching. Please go subscribe to George.
Thank you.
Go watch his woke monologues, because it's gonna be big pretty soon. It is already big and should have been watching. You should have over 1 million views on that.
Lord
That's
willing soon.
God willing soon. Yes, yes. So thank you very much, guys, for watching, and we'll see you next Saturday.
Okay. Bye,
Bye
everybody.
bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bye.